Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my channel. Today we are taking a look at my golf swing versus Tiger Woods golf swing. Now, if you aren't aware, I use Tiger Woods golf swing as a personal model for my own golf swing of what I am trying to get closer to achieving. I'm never going to achieve the majors or anything like that, but if I could make my golf swing look a little bit more like Tiger's, then I'm going to start playing some better golf. And also I work with one of Tiger's old golf coaches called Peter Murphy, who is over in America, and he's worked with a lot of really top players. So let's just run through my golf swing as it is currently, and I'm going to be showing you Tiger's and a few things I'm going to be working on to get from where I am to Tiger's golf swing. Now, we actually just did a video on my golf swing and what I've been working on the previous 3 months. So if you aren't aware or haven't seen that video, highly recommend checking it out to show on some things I've worked on. But now we're going to be showing some things I'm going to be working on. Now let's have a look at my golf swing as it is currently, and I'll run you through quickly a few things that I'm kind of going to be trying to change, and we'll be having a look at Tiger's as an example, and you'll be able to see a pretty big difference. Now, this is a 6-iron here I'm set up with at the driving range. If we slowly play this back, my setup has greatly improved, by the way, but if we pause this at parallel to the ground, I'm trying to create a much wider takeaway with a lot later wrist hinge and wrist set. I used to have a lot earlier wrist hinge and wrist set, and I'm trying to keep the face a little bit squarer. Now, this is the best I've got it looking, but still trying to get those little marginal gains. As we slowly play this to the top, again, I hinge the wrists maybe a little bit early, but nice wide top of the backswing position. I was actually really happy with this top of the backswing position. But if we look at my lower body, my knees have started to sway a little bit. My legs have started to sway. And by that, I mean my knees have started to, if you think about at the start of the golf swing, at address, my knees are pointing forwards. And here, my knees are pointing slightly more to the right. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's something I'm still trying to work on. And when I show you Tiger's swing, there is a noticeable difference. So as we slowly play this down, also one other thing actually quickly, I want to get that club maybe just a tiny bit more laid off, just a tiny bit, because my tendency is to get it more across the line, or well, down the line to across the line, and I want to get that club matching up with that left arm position here, but it's a lot better than it used to be. Highly recommend checking out that other video on my channel. And as we slowly play it down, shaft is going to shallow nicely, but there's a few things to note. If we pause it parallel to the ground, I would like my right elbow to be a little bit more tucked into my body, a little bit more connected there. I would also like a slightly squarer club face, a little bit hard to see, but the club face is a little bit open. And I'd like a little bit more forward flexion in the hips, get my chest a little bit more over the ball, and possibly a little bit more rotation to it at this point. If we slowly play it through to impact, you can see I don't rotate a huge amount from there. It's not a bad impact position, but you know, when we look at Tiger's, it's going to be fairly noticeable, some of these things that I'm talking about now. And yeah, it's actually not too bad. I'm getting more and more weight through the ball onto my left side and compressing the ball. This was a really nice strike. As we slowly play it through, I do release the club a little bit left. I'd like it to be more coming up. I'd like the left shoulder to go a little bit more left and the club to be more up and in front of me, but again, we're talking relatively marginal gains. There's one other thing I want to draw your attention to, but we're going to have a look at my swing with the 3-wood first, and I'll show it to you in here. Again, setup pretty good actually, maybe a little bit more over the ball, a little bit more bend in the hips. As we slowly take the club away, nice wide takeaway, but if we pause it parallel to the ground, pretty much the same things I just mentioned with the irons is what I'm trying to work on here. And we can already see with the 3-wood that my knees are starting to sway a little bit to the right. Again, not as bad as it used to be. As we take it to the top, Pretty good position with the club, not bad. Again, I'd like to see it a little bit more laid off, but not a bad position at all. Pretty good wide takeaway. But if we look at my lower body, those legs have probably swayed a bit more at this point than they did with the iron, and that is kind of my tendency, is kind of with the longer clubs, they are doing it more and more, really. As we slowly play this down, I want you to pay attention to my right foot. My right heel is going to come off the ground and kind of move more towards the ball. And I want it to more roll onto the inside of my right foot. And you're going to get a great look at this when we have a look at Tigers. So as we swing down, shaft shallows nicely, but the face is a bit open. If we pause it parallel to the ground, again, I'd like to see the same sort of things I just mentioned with the iron. More tucked in with the right elbow, more forward flexion, a little bit more bend in the knees as well, really kind of using the ground better. As we play it through to impact, here I would like to see a bit more rotation and again a bit of early extended, a touch. An early extension, something I've been doing probably since I ever started playing golf, and it's a really tough thing to get rid of. So, but from here, we're going to notice what I just mentioned with my right foot. You can already see that right heel coming off the ground a little bit, but from here, it's going to lift up pretty much onto that right toe completely, and instead of kind of rolling inward. So now if we take a look at Tiger, you're going to be able to notice a lot of the things we've just talked about, and Tiger does them pretty much perfectly, as annoying as it is. And I have a lot of really good swings of his on my phone that I like to look at regularly. So here we've got, actually, this is at the 2020 Masters on the range, and Tiger looks to be about probably hitting a 7-iron here. Setup position, first of all, Tiger's hips are stacked a little bit more over his ankles, which is something I'm trying to work on. He's got his chest a little bit more over the ball, a little bit more neutral spine angle. I tend to get my lower back a little bit arched and my upper shoulders a little bit rounded, and that's something, again, I want to change. Tiger's arms hanging down really nicely as well. And as we slowly play this swing back, bear in mind what I was talking about with my knees, my kneecaps kind of pointing more to the right as I take the club away. Now watch Tiger's, because that doesn't happen at all. If we play this swing back, slowly taking the club away, if we pause it parallel to the ground, first of all, there, Tiger's kneecaps pointing perfectly forward. He's pivoting through his hips instead of turning his knees and legs like I am, which is kind of ugly. Also, he has that club face matching his spine angle more than I do, and he's going to hinge the wrists later in the swing than I do as we slowly start to play this to the top, hinging the wrists later. And if we pause it at the top, we can notice a lot of the things that I just talked about. First of all, the lower body. Kneecaps are pointed forwards. He has pivoted through the hips, through his spine, through his thoracic spine, in order to use the ground and create a huge amount of force that way. I'm not doing that at the moment as efficiently as I would like to. Also, bear in mind what I talked about, getting the club a little bit more laid off, and bear in mind how Tiger's left arm and the club shaft are very, very close to being in a straight line. Earlier in his career, they would have been more in a straight line. Not as much now, but that would be like my ideal, pretty much my ideal perfect position to get into there. But mostly the biggest difference from here actually isn't that club position or the arm structure between me and Tiger. It's the legs, it's the lower body. He has pivoted and used his body much, much more effectively than I have in the video I just showed you. And as we start to swing down, the club's going to drop nicely, shallowing out as he rotates a lot better. And if we pause it parallel to the ground, we can see that at this position, exactly the things I was talking about earlier. First of all, if we work from the ground up, Tiger is rolling onto the inside of his right foot. Secondly, his right elbow is more connected to his body and in front of his body. Bear in mind, you don't want the right elbow behind your body. You need it to be connected to your body, but you need it to be in front. I always kind of like to try and get the feeling like it's more, I'm trying to almost touch my belly button with my right elbow. A little bit of a weird concept, but yeah. And also Tiger at this position has already started to rotate out of the way, turning his body out of the way. If we slowly play the swing down, he turns down onto the golf ball. Again, look at that right foot. He's rolling onto the inside instead of me kind of lifting my right heel up. We can see how much pressure he's kind of shifting onto his left side and through the ball, and how much more open his chest and hips are than I personally was, and more connected with the arms, with that right arm. And from here, he's going to then release the club beautifully up and in front of him as he extends to that full balanced finish position. Let's have one more look at Tiger hitting 3-wood, because obviously those are the clubs we just had a look at me hitting, and this is a really good look as well. So here we have Tiger, it looks like at the President's Cup or Ryder Cup or something, hitting 3-wood, and as we take the club away, if we pause it parallel to the ground, again we're going to notice the things I've just been talking about. Has that club face matching his spine angle, much squarer and later wrist hinge than I do, and his knees are pointing forward. As we take it to the top, he's going to get that shaft again very close to being in a straight line with that left arm, and he's beautifully pivoted through his hips and his spine. Those knees are still pointed forwards. He's really loaded up in this position. Looks much more athletic than mine does, like he's really coiling and creating a lot of power. As we start to slowly play it down, that shaft's going to shallow and hands and arms will drop back in front of him, creating a lot of width. As we pause it back at parallel with the ground, he has the face a little bit more open here. I think it was because he was trying to hit a little bit more of a fade. But if we look at the body positions, we can again see what I was talking about. More connection with the right elbow and really more forward bend in the hips and rotating out of the way, a little bit more bend in the knees too. As we slowly play it down into the ball, again created so much more space, no early extension or anything like that. All that pressure and weight going onto his left side, rolling onto the inside of that right foot, and as he comes through, extending beautifully with that club coming up and in front of him, and to that nice beautiful balanced finish. Looks like he was trying to hit a little bit of a saw-off shot there. But yeah, that is what I'm going to be working on. A few things there. I mean, this sounds like there's quite a lot of things, but basically, if we break it down, setup just needs to be marginally adjusted, which is never that difficult, even though it takes time to work on. It's not really a swing thought because you're doing it before you swing the golf club. Then, as you take the club away, I'm trying to keep it squarer, wider, later wrist set, and also to try and keep my knees more pointing forwards and pivot through the ground instead of turning them. Then at the top, trying to get a little bit more roll in my arm and my forearm there, and to get that club a little bit more laid off at the top. And again, it's mostly just that and the lower body, just the knees, that are really the kind of two main things other than the setup. Then as I start to swing down, trying to get that kind of right foot more, well, trying to first of all keep more bend in the hips and knees, more pressure into the ground that way, gives you more power into the ball, trying to keep the right elbow more connected to the body and in front of me, which then allows me to roll onto the inside of that right foot, come through the ball really nicely, and extend to that finish that Tiger has. So quite a lot, really. I mean, it sounds like a lot when I put it like that. Like, it sounds like it's a lot of different things, but in my mind, it's not. It's really minor things with the setup. Then it's just keeping my knees pointed forwards and pivoting instead of swaying them. And from there, all it is hinging the wrists a bit later, keeping the club a bit squarer earlier, rolling it a little bit more at the top. And then on the way down, it's kind of a different feel. It's a little bit more squat into the ground, a little bit more bend of the hips, and keeping that right elbow more in front. And from there, you know, there's not that much that can go wrong. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Hopefully you've kind of learned something about maybe Tiger's swing or my swing or your own golf swing that you could kind of work on, or maybe you've looked at your swing before and something resonated there. I would love to know. Feel free to comment down below. I reply to all of your comments. So please do comment below and like this video as well. And of course, subscribe to my channel. If you would like to see some more of these videos, also let me know. I take a look at some of the best golf swings in the world on this channel, and also have a look at my golf swing and play some golf too. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and any content or videos you want to see. I'm always happy to make, guys. So do me a favor, give this video a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. As always, grip it and rip it.